Alright, those of you who have been following my channel for a while know that I had a Polygon TRID J5, which is the blue one, still a hardtail. I just picked up this one. I sold the J5 about 3-4 months ago. Really liked the way it rode. I had a few issues with it that I didn't like, but kind of started to miss the geometry now. I'm doing bigger dirt jumps again. So I found one of these that is almost brand new. I mean, it's been ridden a handful of times maybe. Really kind of wanted one again. So picked this up, got a pretty good deal on it. It is a Polygon TRID, but not the J5 model. This is just the regular one. There are a couple things I've noticed that are different that I didn't expect. The biggest thing being, I thought the frames were the same and it was just a component spec, but the frame is actually different. If you watch my video on the J5, you'll know that Polygon did an absolutely stupid move with the brake mount. It's not actually part of the frame like it should be. It was actually an axle mount with a bracket that bolts to the frame, which made it impossible to remove the wheel without completely taking the brake off. So I didn't realize that until I actually bought this frame and brought it home, because other than that they look just the same. And I'm starting to notice a few other things about the frame too. These dropouts have integrated chain tensioners. There's also a lot more work done to them. They're definitely better quality rear end to this bike. The stays also look like they're made a lot better, a lot nicer. Welds are cleaner. So the difference between the TRID and the TRID J5 is more than just paint as far as the frame goes. As far as the components go, wheels look pretty similar, but it does have a 15mm front hub as opposed to a 20, so I'm thinking it probably is a different wheel set. Cranks are generic Samox, but those came on my Commensal Absolute too. They're not the best cranks, but honestly I've never bent them or had any issues with them. I just don't think they're super high quality. But as you can see, this is made to be assembled by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, because the crank arms are, I'm actually denoted as left and right. These are not the stock pedals. I bought it used and they had changed these already. The stock seat that came on here was really nice, but I had this brown pivotal off my stolen BMX. I just wanted to put on here just to go with a brown theme. Plus I really like this saddle. Grips I changed. The grips that come on this bike are strange. They're lock-ons on the inside, but they're rubber on the outside, which once they're mounted is no big deal, but I pulled the front brake off this bike because I don't like to ride front brake on a dirt jumper. What I realized is, because they have a lock on and a plastic sleeve on this side, you can't put them on with an air gun because you can't get an air gun in there. But if you put it on to make the rubber side slippery, and hopefully it'll dry with like hairspray or paint, there's no way to get air in there to dry it if it doesn't dry, so you end up with a locked on grip and a loose grip. And I don't like the color of these grips. They don't go with the bike, but they're what I had on hand. They're nice grips. They're Answer, what do they call them? Stein grips, I think. One of the problems I had with the J5 is it did have a tapered head tube, and it came with a Manitou Circus fork that was not a tapered steer tube. It was a straight steer tube. I don't really have a problem with straight steer tubes. It really doesn't make that big a difference to me, but they had not put the correct adapter in the bottom, so it took me forever to figure out, because the headset kept feeling loose, and then I tightened it down and it would feel okay, but then you jump and it would clank. So here's the problem I had with the J5, not with this one. They had the wrong thing in here, so this slipped. So until I got that figured out, I couldn't figure out why the headset felt loose when it wasn't. And I do not like Manitou Circus forks. I like Manitou forks, just not their Circus forks. It clanked all over the place. It felt very unreliable. The travel was okay. It did compress the way it was supposed to. A nice 20 millimeter through axle, all that was fine. But I didn't like the way the fork felt. And then I read about the spring clanking being a common issue. So I actually wrapped one layer of duct tape around it, or not duct tape, electrical tape, to get the clanking to stop. And it did make it a little quieter, but it never got rid of it completely. I haven't ridden this fork yet. Actually, I haven't ridden this bike yet. I've had an X-Fusion dirt jumper fork on my Specialized P3, and I actually loved that fork. So I'm hoping this will be the same thing. X-Fusion slant fork. It's an air fork. It is a tapered steer tube. The other thing that was the same between this and the J5 are the tires. I didn't really care for them on the other bike, but I can't remember why. If it was like an asphalt or a cement traction, because I rode in parks on it some too, or if I just wanted something different. So I'm going to leave these on until I ride this a little bit and see if I can figure out why I took them off the other bike, because they seem like they're okay, and I know a couple people that have them that like them. So that'll probably stay the same. I'm going to replace the cranks just because I have another set at home or something better. Bar and stem actually feel good on these stock, so I don't think I'll do much with that. I'm going to change the grips just because I don't like the color. It does have a Shimano rear brake, which is my favorite. They're easy to dial in, they're easy to set up, it's easy to get a good feel on them. But the cable's the hose is way too long. And then I'll be changing the pedals just because yellow pedals on this bike look kind of strange to me. I don't know. They're DMR pedals or VP pedals or something. They're not super high quality, but they're not bad. So, anywho, I'm assuming it's going to ride the same as my J5, which I miss and I like. But I will give a little bit of a report later on that today. Anyway, there's kind of the initial review of the Polygon TRID versus the Polygon TRID J5. And my God, I am so happy to see this fixed.